Happy Monday, Pathlings. I'm Spin Pixie, and this week we are taking a look at some of the issues that Pathlings may face when first encountering their pagan path. And my topic this week is help. I'm trapped in the broom closet. The terminology, the broom closet, is something that I heard very early on in my religious search. And basically what it pertains to is anyone who for any reason cannot reveal that they are a practicing witch or pagan. And this could be for any number of reasons. Perhaps you are younger and in a very strict household that is very, very Christian, Catholic, Jewish, etc. And you can't deviate from the plan. Or maybe you are a spouse and your husband or wife or what have you is one religion, and you guys started out the same religion, but you have since, been called to a pagan path, and you can't express your views because you don't want it to lead to arguments in the home, whether it be with your spouse or with your children who don't understand, things of that nature. There, for many reasons, can be people who are trapped in the broom closet, and this video is for you guys. So I'm going to try and be quick and concise because the last time I recorded this video, it was almost like 40 minutes long, and I just really want to get to the meat and potatoes of things so that you guys aren't sitting here all day. So first I'm going to start with anyone who is younger than 18, who has to abide by parents' rules and whatnot, and then I will get to the older people who are adults and so on and so forth. I was 12 when I began my religious studies. I always knew that I was not what I was raised, which is kind of Christian Catholic, There was the belief more with my grandparents in Catholicism, and to a lesser extent my mom, who was Christian. And my dad, who was, well, whatever my mom was. We didn't really, it was not forced down our throats, but we did have the books. We had the Noah's Ark books. We had the little cutesy cartoon stories and stuff that our mom would read to us when we were very little, and it was less as we got older. So I think they had intentions of raising us Catholic. It wasn't, forced on us like it was forced on her. Like, I think she kind of felt like religion was sort of forced on her to some extent, so she didn't want to do that to us. She went to a Catholic school and all that kind of stuff. So we weren't really forced to believe in Catholicism, but it was there. And it was there enough that when I was 12 and asking questions, I was met with things like, we don't ask those kinds of questions, or told to shut up because what I was asking was blasphemy. And I had very innocent questions. I was very young. I was asking, how we know we're the only planet, that has life, and how do we know that God made the earth, and asking how do we know that there's not other gods or even girls out there, goddesses out there who, who watch over us, and all these kinds of things. Innocent questions that anyone who really was thinking about their belief system or against their belief system, or differently rather than their belief system would have. And the walls I was hitting was just not doing it for me. And so I began my studies into my own path, my own ways of thinking. And so what I can, my best advice to you if you're younger is to really think about what it is that you believe. What is it that you believe? and then write it down. Write a letter to yourself, or write a letter to your parents, let's say, that you don't have to give them, but just somebody who would ask your belief system. Write it down, because it's going to cause you to think very hard about what your beliefs are. And if you're finding that writing this letter is very hard for you to do, then you might want to take some time and really examine what you believe before getting involved in something like witchcraft or paganism. Because if you still have religious leanings, it can be really hard to embark on this religion, which is basically, at least from my view, non-devil, non-God battlefield. It's different. For me, this paganism is very different than Catholicism or Christianity. So you might want to really think about what you believe in. And just put it into simple words. Don't try to dress it up. Just simple words. And then once you have that down, then start looking at your family's belief system and how it doesn't gel with yours. And look at the parts that do. And examine why those parts do. It's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of inside thinking. A lot of going in yourself and really figuring this out. Because I know a lot of people tend to treat Christianity or Catholicism as just, it's kind of there. Like, yeah, I'm Christian. I don't really practice, but I'm Christian, sort of, when I have to be, because that's kind of how my family was. We were just kind of Christian or Catholic when we had funerals or weddings or whatever, but we never practiced. We never really had to go to church. It wasn't mandated, but, it wasn't, my grandparents did go every Sunday. So it wasn't, some people might be in that same boat. But it might not be mandated, but you might still, have that in your family there. So if this is something that you believe, try to figure out where, to what degree do you believe in your former belief system, and really try to feel that out before you go and hop into new territory. And if you just have that feeling that this is not for you, I would still advise doing the exercises, because it's just going to build you up more as a person and really, really ground you in your beliefs. The next thing you're going to want to do is get educated. And honestly, if this is something that you really believe in, whatever your new belief system is, it should be something that you want to learn about. Something that reading or watching documentaries doesn't bore you, but it fascinates you. If you find that everything you watch or everything you read is just boring, then maybe this really isn't for you, because it's a part of the history of whatever your belief system is. And the reason that you want to be educated is so that if you're met with questions, like say you're found out by somebody, a friend or family or family friend, you're going to want to have that arsenal of information to answer their questions, because you have to figure it like this. You know where you come from. You know that your background is whatever religion it is, and you know how they feel about witches. You know how they feel about pagans. So it's kind of your duty to be able to bridge that gap and be the understanding one. Be the one who understands that just because you're seeking enlightenment in another religion, it doesn't mean that they have to believe in it or agree with it or anything like that. It just means that you have to be more understanding. My parents don't believe in witchcraft. They think it's, I don't think they think it's devil worship, but they don't think that it's right. But it's my job as somebody who's constantly seeking enlightenment to understand that and not to argue. Just understand that they are where they are and I'm where I am, and it's most likely me who's going to walk across that bridge and pray with them on Christmas before eating, because that's what they believe. I'm not going to expect them to cross that bridge and practice Yule with me, because that's what I believe. And that's something that you're going to have to understand. I know somebody who got upset with her parents because they didn't want to make a feast for one of the Sabbats, and that's okay. I mean, if they don't go with your beliefs and you're finding that that you're making the effort all the time, that's just how sometimes it's going to be, or all times. It just depends on your family, because you're the one who has left that path. You know, you're the one who's going to have to bridge that gap. So just understand that too. And I will have some ideas for you guys later on in this video as to what you can do to practice magic and not feel trapped. And one of the things to do is to also remember that everything you do when you're younger, when you're a child or when you're a teenager, it's all phase to them. It's either a phase that you'll grow out of or a phase that they are going to make you grow out of. You know, like the kind of music you listen to, the clothes you wear, the makeup you choose, or whatever. It's stuff that parents consider a phase. What changes the game is your education and your ability to speak about it. That way you're able to show them, if they do think it's a phase, that this is why. This is not something that I'm taking on like a new style, you know. I'm not goth for a week, I'm a witch for life, and this is the difference, you know. And the difference is going to be your education and how well you can articulate what you believe versus what you no longer believe, which is their religion, and why. So education is the key to being able to express your feelings. And you can even tell them, you know, well, I'm not a particular religion right now, I'm just looking. I'm trying to feel what resonates with me. And there is no harm in looking at different religions. No harm whatsoever. If you feel like, oh, well, I was born, you know, Jewish, but I really don't feel that way, I'm going to look at Buddhism. I'm going to look at Hinduism. I'm going to look at whatever, you know. You know, there's no harm in that. Just looking at what's different. Or maybe if you're born, let's say, Catholic, and you don't feel the Catholic religion, and let's say you're Cuban and Catholic, let's say you go not necessarily to, you know, to just, you know, Wicca or whatever. Let's say you dig deeper into your ancestry and discover maybe that your ancestry has some Santeria in it, or some Yoruba in it, or hoodoo or voodoo. You know, maybe take a look at your ancestral line and see what else is there, what pagan roots are there, and find yourself through your heritage. It's not a mandate, but you know, it's one way to go. So if you're younger, there's a lot of things that happen when you're exploring your religious freedom and when you're learning about who you are. But it's the education you get in the belief system you're acquiring that takes it from being just a phase to something that's going to stay with you. Now, if you're older, let's say 18 and above, you might be trapped in the broom closet for many different reasons. Let's say you changed paths from your spouse. Well, when you marry, there's a lot of things that you discuss, and hopefully one of those things is religion. And so let's say you and your husband or wife are, or fiance even, are on the same path religiously, but you feel a calling to practice more differently than your spouse. There's a deviation there from that path that you were going on together, and you might be feeling trapped by that fact that now you are the one who has veered off your path together religiously. So now you feel trapped because you don't know what to do, and you raised your kids a certain way, and your husband or wife believes a certain way, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff, loaded things coming with that kind of entrapment or that feeling. Or maybe you don't, you know, it's just you alone, and you've raised your kids a certain way, and now that you feel a calling to a different religion, you don't want your children to be disappointed in you, or to shun you, or make you feel any particular way. First of all, when you're older, there tends to be a belief that it should be easier. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions, blah, 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 blah. But it's, you know, it may be the case that you just feel stuck in that broom closet. I think that one of the things that we know is the people that we love and the people that love us. And over time, we get to know their ways, how they handle bad news, how they handle, for lack of better terminology, disappointment, how they handle shock. You know, and there's what we know, and then what we think. And what we think versus what we know, like what we know could be somewhere swimming in the billion times worse we've made it in our head because we've thought about it. So just really think about the people that you know and love and trust in your life, and you'll be able to be able to gauge whether or not you can tell them. But if you just really feel trapped, you know, the ancestors, they practiced in secret too, because if they were found out, they were executed, they were murdered. And so of course they're going to feel like, you know, unwilling to come out of the broom closet. The broom closet was the safest place for them. And there's a couple of good things about that. So the first thing you're going to need to do before you even embark on the practice is to stop blocking yourself. Stop boxing yourself in. Stop making the broom closet a place of being trapped, and start making it a home for the practices that you need to do until you can be out in the open about it. Now, there's a few really good reasons that being in the broom closet is better. One, there's a sense of I can't be found out when I'm doing what I'm doing. So there's a sense of, I don't want to say danger, but there's a sense of I could get caught. And that kind of way of thinking tends to heighten our senses. We need to hear things quicker. We need to see things more clearly. Also in that, it makes the energy fields higher. It makes it easy to channel what it is that you're channeling. So if you're trying to connect a deity, it might make that heightened sense of energy there. If you're working with crystals, you might be able to feel them more intensely. Things like that. The other thing is that you're also very connected with the ancestors who had to practice silently in secret without being found out. Because if they got found out, their lives were taken, their homes were, you know, became church property. A lot of things happened that were bad if the ancestors were found out. So there's that connection there to those ancestors who could not be found out. So you have that with you as well. So don't allow yourself to feel trapped. Some of the ideas that I've got for you guys who are in the broom closet to practice magic and to be more self-expressed. I've come up with a few solutions to being able to be self-expressed and to practice, you know, without fear of persecution. Ribbons, construction paper, colored baby food jars, you know, colored items. Those are perfect for elemental representation, for God and Goddess representation. If you have a washcloth that is gold, that you look at that and you think that's the color that I would use for my God candle, put it in the God section. You know, make it a little pyramid, make it a little, you know, a little square, whatever you need to do, put it in your God section. If you have a piece of, you know, white ribbon or whatever, and you want to use that for your Goddess side, put that in your Goddess side. Fold it neatly, put it in your Goddess side. If you have construction paper can easily be used in place of candles. There are a lot of witches that I know who, even though they're not in the broom closet, use ribbons and construction paper because either they have a fear of lighting candles or fires, or fire doesn't do it for them. They like using ribbons or construction paper or tissue paper instead. That's what they do. Don't be, you know, just because a lot of people use candles and fire, it doesn't mean that you have to use candles and fire. You can use various items. If it's things that you feel, you want to consecrate for your practice, get yourself a nice big shoebox, or a nice big, shoebox is probably the best way of going, because if no one looks in there, they'll think it's shoes, or paper, like check stubs or whatever. So get yourself a nice big shoebox, and, start tucking your items away in there that you've consecrated for your space. Instead of getting statues of your deities, use their totem animals. Hecate has the hound, or you can use the stag for Pan. You can use, like, let's say, a deer for Artemis, or a raven for the Morrigan, or you can use, or whatever animal resonates with you for whatever deity you're working with. There are elephant gods or goddesses. There are various animals that you can use, and all you'd have to do is go to a Dollar Tree and pick up a zoo pack or a safari pack of little creatures, little animals, and you can very easily find a totem animal in there. And then consecrate it and tuck it in your shoebox. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be ridiculously pricey. It doesn't have to be like that. Just whatever, $1 can get you some construction paper and a bag of animals, like a little animal bag. There are various different things that you can do. If you want to have a little space, you can use that shoebox, flip it over, and it'll have a solid flat surface. Use that as your little altar for the time being. And if you want to leave offerings, simply have your little offering dish, whether it's a seashell, or a little tiny, if you have children, maybe snag one of their little dollhouse plates and use that as an offering dish. Whatever you have to do, just think outside the box for doing what you need to do. The one thing that the whole point of this is to say that it doesn't matter what it is, your deities are not going to look at you in a funny way, or they're not going to look down on you in any way for how you have to honor them. They're going to look at you as, wow, this person is taking this extra step, even though their circumstances are what they are, to leave offerings, and they're going to be very accepting of what you have to give them, because they understand your circumstances. But hopefully I've helped you guys. If you are in the Broom Closet and you have various different ideas that you use to practice magic, to cast your circles, leave some suggestions in the comment box for your fellow witches who might be in the same predicament. Or if you are afraid of telling people, and you started to tell people, what did you do? How was that experience for you? Also leave that in the comments section if you feel like sharing. We're here to help each other, and this is a judgment-free zone. So please feel free to share your experiences with the Broom Closet with your fellow witches. And until next week, many blessings, have a wonderful week, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.